What's up, YouTube? It is Wednesday, September 4th. We took one trade today, and that one trade was a very nice. Let me see, how much did this end up becoming? A 1 to 1.5 risk to reward. A little more than that because, my runner got stopped out in profit. But just starting out here on the 4-hour time frame, we noticed that yesterday we had that huge sell-off right down into this liquidity area right here. We took out that low. Now you notice price stalled around that area. Overall, we do have bearish structure, right? So you could be expecting sells more than anything else. But as with anything, we have a lower high, a lower low, and now we need to create a lower high potentially in this area. We're watching for that if we're going to create a lower high to then continue selling off. So that was my initial thinking to see, okay, are we going to just continue selling off in the morning, trying to target this draw on liquidity here at 18,524? Or were we going to retrace back up into premium to be able to have that second leg on down, again targeting that 18,524? So on the 1-hour time frame, when the market was about to open up, the one thing that I noted here was the fact that we had a 1-hour fair value gap that was right there, and that got inverted. All right, that became an IFEG at 9 o'clock. This candle here is from 8 to 9 o'clock. So that right there was starting to paint the picture to me that we were potentially going to move back on up here. And the reason why is because we have this low, we have a lower high, higher low, and a higher high, another higher low. So the next reasonable thing that you could have expected was a higher high, and in order to validate that, we needed to have this 1-hour fair value gap become an inversion fair value gap. So when I saw that, I came in with a bullish bias, and I wanted to see that that would happen also on the 15-minute time frame. And we noticed that we had this bullish fair value gap or bearish fair value gap right there holding price for a bit. Then price inverted that, did lose it for a second, but then it came right back on up. Okay, and when that happened, when this occurred, that we got this push on up, I wanted to wait until 9:45 just to see where price was going to end up going. And ideally, I wanted it to close above this level right here. 15-minute close above, look for longs. So I waited patiently. I was going to actually end up waiting for 10 o'clock, especially because 10 o'clock we had news, and that news caused that significant drop here, taking out that low and then moving back on up. So I had drawn up my plan that I wanted to go long and feel confident about those longs. I wanted to get a 15-minute candle close above here because of this bearish fair value gap. I wanted to invalidate that and pretty much have a safe trajectory up into this 1-hour fair value gap right there. And I wanted to see, ideally, that would happen around 10 o'clock. And then I wanted to see the reaction of news, if news was going to push us down or push us back up. So dropping down into the 1-minute time frame here, we see that overall for the day as well, I considered this X because London did not take out the low or the high. We pretty much accumulated the entire session for London. So I was already expecting that whatever needs to happen, this 1-hour fair value gap needs to be touched before midday, because after midday, we're going to get a reversal off of whatever happens here. Or if we end up getting a push down, we were going to get a retracement back up. And if you look, obviously this ended up being an XAMD kind of day. So that was perfect. It was perfect. But regardless, right? We were looking for longs. I waited for that 15-minute candle close above this, and I was waiting to see on the 1-minute time frame after news a reason to go long. So the news drop happened, and we displaced down below this 1-minute fair value gap that I wanted to see us hold initially, but we didn't. So I noted this level right here. I didn't put it here on the chart, but I was just watching it. You notice that we created this bearish fair value gap where price retraced back into, started to come back on down. So we have this low, we have a lower high, and then we created a higher low. Okay, right here was when I started to think, all right, what's going to happen now? Price displaces back on up, closes above this inversion fair value gap that got created. So it invalidated it. That was number one. And then number two, we get this candle close right above this bearish fair value gap on the 1 minute. So I entered in on the next candle. You can see I got in right there. My stop was below this low right here because I did not want to see price continue moving back on down if we were going to move on up. And then as you can see, price, took this high, started to look like it wanted to come back down. So I was just going to honor my stop loss. I didn't want to close out too early because I have that stop there for a reason. And then I put here, I want this to become inversed. It quickly did, lost it, created a bearish fair value gap. That got inversed and we reclaimed this one right here. And that was more than enough reason for me to hold. I put my first take profit right there. I sold the majority of my position there and I put my runners to break even. When I saw that we created this swing low here, and then price tapped that 1 hour fair value gap, I put my stop right there for my last runner, and you can see I got stopped out right there. And regardless, we didn't continue moving on up for the rest of the day. It did just chop around in this area. So overall, I would have gotten stopped here, and my hard stop for time would have been midday because I was expecting a reversal of some sort. Now, where could that reversal have been? Well, after the midday session, or after the morning session, we start up here. We accumulate, we manipulate back on up, we take out this high, and then boom, we inverse this fair value gap. So the entry that you could have taken short would have been the inverse of that fair value gap, so it would have been created there. Put your stop above that high, and where could you have targeted? Well, the first target would have been this low right here, which would have been like a 1-to-1. Could have also targeted this low right there, which would have been a 1-to-2. And both of those targets hit very nicely. So you could have taken the longs up because you would have known here is the X, here's accumulation. Whatever direction the New York AM session was going to have, the PM session was going to be the opposite. Wait for a specific time to align. So you have this microcycle right here, accumulation, manipulation up. So you can expect distribution down, especially because we took out this swing high right there. That was a liquidity grab, tapped back into that 1 hour fair value gap, created a lower high as well, validating bearish sentiment. We had this low, we have this prominent swing high, prominent swing low, prominent swing high right there. But this swing high failed to displace above this one. So this is a failure swing high. Obviously now after this, we start to just sell on off very slowly. Now that is one thing I have noticed about the last couple of days. Price has been delivering to its targets very, very slow. If you notice, like this action is very strange. It makes me super impatient to see it because you're green, then you're red, you're hovering around your break even, back to red, green, come back into red for a little bit, and it's just, you come right back close to break even again, and then you finally hit the target. It's just very unsettling. So you need to exercise extreme patience in this market. I'm expecting September to continue being like that overall. But regardless, two good trades that you could have taken. I did not take this PM one. I only took the AM session because I'm one and done. If the first one works out, great. If not, I take a second one, but I didn't need to in this instance. So hopefully you guys ended up green. I hope this trade recap helped you guys out too. Remember, XAMD, or you could either have AMDX. But in this case, because London didn't take out the high and the low, and it just accumulated pretty much the entire night, you can consider this X. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It was great. And yeah, we'll see what tomorrow brings. Peace.